So tomorrow, you and I will be starting this strength bias. It is a very specific type of strength bias, and it is unlike any strength bias that you or many people have ever done before. I would like to show you the keys to my 8 keys to doing an over 40 strength bias, okay? Key number 1 is you've got to warm up. You're no longer allowed, even if you've just come from the workout, you're 65%, 75% of the GPP workout, man, you still have to warm up. And I need you to be thinking about this. There are nerves associated with the movements that you'll be doing, and those nerves need to be taught the pattern of movement. Otherwise, it could lead to injury. You and I are against that, right? That's opposite of what we want that to look like. So I want to show you what a warm-up would look like, let's say on a bench press. So I got my bench all set up, and I got Henry on the bench. And my first set, it depends on how many I'm doing, but 100% of the time, I always start with the very lowest weight that I can. And what I'll do is I'll get a hold of old Henry, I'll pick him up, and I'll just kind of groove that first set, squeezing the whole way. And I'll do a few of these guys, and I'll even start to get explosive, which it's something that will look super different to a lot of you. That's my first set. Let me show you what the second set would look like after 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm trying to get some blood flowing. I'm trying to get some synovial fluid sort of flowing. More importantly, I'm trying to get the nerve flowing. So I just did, 3 or 4 minutes ago, I just did a naked bar. Now I've put 10 pounds on it. This is well within my wheelhouse. Yours should be too. Anytime you do a warm-up, man, you're just teaching your body the movement pattern. It's not about putting a whole bunch of strain on it yet, but do notice that I am up a little bit of weight from where I was on my first set. And then it'll look like this. Groove my first rep, and then I go to work. I don't know how many I did right there. I don't care. What I care about is teaching my body that movement pattern. That's number 1. Now I've done 2 warm-ups. You might not want that many warm-ups. On this one though, this is my most important warm-up. This is my 3rd warm-up. I've been resting for quite a while right now. I went up 50 pounds. That's well within my wheelhouse. Some of you have no business going there, but this is going to be light and easy for me. You want to progressively overload yourself in these warm-ups, okay? Always be increasing, and while they're increasing, your reps are decreasing. So I'm going to hit as close to a work set here as I can kind of imagine, and that's going to look a little like what my first work set's going to look like. So I'm going to probably do 5 of these, maybe 6 of these, still warming up, just teaching my body the movement pattern and feeling a little bit more of the weight. Set it up, squeeze in. First one, I groove it, felt good. Then I do some explosive stuff. Yeah. Okay, I'm warmed up. My next set will be my first work set with a little bit more weight than that. Notice that I wrote 1 to 3 warm-up sets. I don't care. What I care about is that you get warmed up. And how many reps should you do during those sets? Again, I don't care. What I do care about is that you get progressively heavier towards your first work set, and then on your last warm-up set, even if it's just 1 or 2, right? You find a weight that simulates your first work set, okay? That's your warm-up. Never skip your warm-up. That's a rule. 2, you'll do less than 5 sets of exercise. Now, let me put that in reference for you. Some of you are new to this, and that's fine. But understand, when you get there in a few weeks from now, that only gets you 5 sets of work that you can do. If you throw one of them away, you've lost 20% of the efficiency and efficacy of that set. So you need to come in hot, but you're not allowed to do more than 5 sets. Is that cool? That's recommendation number 2. Number 3 is you're not allowed to do more than 5 sets. You're also not allowed to do more than 5 reps ever. This is a 5-rep world that you live in, okay? And you're gonna find a weight that you'll find gains in 5 reps. And I know how mind-blowing that is for some of you. Trust me, the strongest men and women in the world do 5 reps. Now, Dan John told me don't be afraid of a 2-set. That means you get in and do 2 repetitions and put it up. Know this, if you're functioning, if you're firing on all pistons, 2 reps will do you. 2 reps will do you, okay? So I don't care if you do 5 reps. What I care about is you do at least a rep. And I'm fine with somewhere in between 1 and 4, and that's part of your progression. We'll talk about that when we get there, but that'll be later this week or maybe the beginning of next week, okay? The 4th recommendation, and this is key for you and I, we have to increase your speed. These are explosive movements. Remember, we are building type 2B muscle fibers. Those are the fast twitch muscle fibers. If you think you can build those effectively with slow reps, you're sadly mistaken, okay? You have to explode those movements. Now, I put explosive on here, but I need you to know that explosive is as explosive does, right? You're gonna go faster than you and I are used to, but we're not going stupid here, okay? This is not ludicrous speed. This is just fast. You have this thought that you're gonna do these movements like this, and I'm asking you to groove your first one and then go to work. If there's any slop in it at all, you're too fast, slow down, okay? But if you find yourself going super slow, you're missing the point, speed up, okay? This is different for all of us, but you know if you're being explosive or not. It's key to building the muscle tissue that we're looking for. Plus, it's really, really good for your nervous system. You're calling on it to send electricity into those muscles and shock it on a level that we don't have to endure all the pain of the weight if we can make ourselves go hard and fast. You'll see what that means when we get there. Okay, now, I said go fast. Okay, I said up here you're only allowed to do 5. I said up here you're only allowed to do 5. I'm gonna ask you to leave, and this is the most important part. No matter what weight you choose, whether you're doing deadlifts or squats or bench press or pull downs, I want you to find a weight, and this is so arbitrary, 75%. I want you to find a weight that you can do explosively without slowing down even once. If you find yourself flying along and your speed starts to slow down, you are way over your head. I need you to leave 3 full reps in the tank, which will mean I want you to stay below somewhere around 75% intensity. Trust me, muscle can be built below 75% intensity. You don't have to go as hard as you can every stupid rep. That's the stuff the teenagers are doing. You and I can't recover from that. It doesn't matter because we can get the gains from that, okay? 75% means that some of you are gonna go bat crazy and be like, well, I better find out what my max is. Hear me, I'm not saying that. I don't care what your max is, and you shouldn't either. I'm asking for a 75% intensity. So if I was pushing on something, it's about a 7 out of 10, okay? Make sure that when you rack the weight or when you finish that set, you had 3 full reps in the tank, and that'll be close. If you did them fast, that'll be close to the right intensity for you that'll still grow the muscle, okay? Number 6. So I asked you to go fast up here, okay? But you can't. Even though you're warmed up, you can't go fast every single first rep. So here's what I'm gonna ask you to do. I'm gonna ask you to groove your first rep. What that means is, let's take the back squat, for example. You'll load that up, you'll have a good intensity on there, right? 75%, something that is well within your wheelhouse. And you'll do a nice first rep. That guy is slow and controlled. Upon completion of your first rep, you're gonna now go to work, okay? You'll speed them up. But every time I do a first rep, I groove my first rep, I tune up that nervous system, I tune up that muscular system, groove that first one, and then I am off to work. I'll finish my 4. Remember, we're only allowed to do 5 reps, so we're gonna count that first groover as your first rep, okay? Groove that first rep. 7, and this is the most important of all of them. At our age especially, okay, you need to rest. You need to be completely recovered as you go into your next thing. Now, that especially applies right here to the over 40 strength bias, but I want you to apply it to everything you do. If you're out on the mountain, if you're out running, if you're in here doing GPP, I want you to have some rest. I need you to feel fresh the whole way. You aren't allowed to be sore, right? You're not allowed to hit the red line. And this right here, you're resting, this will allow us to stay away from that red line. So if you're resting, especially here in the strength bias, between 3 and 10 minutes, I'm in, right? Everybody's gonna say, oh, you're gonna be cooled down. Forget about those people. They don't know what they're talking about, okay? They're not talking to people our age. You and I especially need at least 3 minutes before you do another rep, and I'll take 10. You want 15? Go crazy. I don't care. What I care about is that when you touch the bar the very next time, you're 100% recovered from a perfect set and rep that you've been doing, okay? Rest. Rest often and rest deliberately. Make sure you're doing it. Lastly, and we will cover this in detail because this takes some real good coverage, I need you to progressively overload your body. Constantly be striving to another rep scheme, right? So if we're going along and we did your first 2 warm-ups, we don't know how many reps you did, but the first one you did was 5 sets. That's your first work set, right? We did 5 sets at 100 pounds. I don't know how many you're doing or what we're doing, but let's just pretend that you did. And next time you did 5 because you had all those in you at 100 pounds. And then next time, it's a dash, you did 5 at 100 pounds. But this time you noticed that the last one became difficult and you weren't sure you had 3 reps left in the tank. I suggest on the next set, on your 4th work set, you do 4 with a rest, and then that's 100 pounds. Depending on how that one moved, let's pretend the next one you also did 4. Well, the next time you come in, we've got to progressively overload your system. And we'll go over this more. But that would mean it would look something like, okay, we know we did 5 before, we know we did 5, this is another date, right? We did our warm-ups. I don't know how many you did. 5. Here's what I'm striving for. I'm striving for at least 1 more set with a 5 in it. So I'm getting at least something that I progressively, constantly, every time I touch a bar, I'm gonna increase at least 1 repetition. Don't go crazy here. If you jump too far, next week you have to jump back. That's gonna teach your body to just become stressed, and all I'm looking for is a progressive overload. So the next set, you went 4 again, and the next time you come in, did your warm-ups, don't know how many reps, 5, 5, 5, and then lastly, 5. And that took us 3 weeks to add 2 simple reps. If you'll simply progressively overload, and I'll give you other ideas on this, but if you'll always be trying to overload yourself without taking too big of a step, because remember, you've got that 75% intensity suggestion here. Don't go crazy. You'll kill this program. You'll become as strong as you've ever been, and then this will at least help us to regulate hormones, decrease inflammation, and most importantly, build that muscle like we said we could.